What's up, everybody? I'm Jay,
I'm Christy.
and this is the Trading Floor podcast. Brand new because it's been like at least 3 months or so, but this is season 3 now, episode 1. It's been highly anticipated. A lot of people have been spamming us asking when this is going to come back, and we've just been extremely busy, guys. But I would like y'all to know that we are back now for I'd say a pretty decent while now. I like to say,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
We have a good amount of topics that people have requested for season three's podcast. So you guys will be hearing from us again pretty, if not weekly, at least bi-weekly. We're gonna try and like split them up a little bit. But yeah, we are back now.
and so with that being said, we do have a pretty juicy topic now. I think this is a game changer for everybody. And just in case for those, Christy, who have been living under a rock, what has happened recently with prop firms?
So prop firms, which I'm so excited about, because if you guys actually look back at if you've been watching it, you probably have heard me talk about some of my gripes when it comes to prop firms, which is putting that pressure of a time limit on traders to make a certain percentage in a certain time. And that's not really fair. But the new wave in prop firms has been to lift this time restriction. Maybe they heard me. Maybe the universe like
Doubt,
sent them
doubt.
doubtful. They're like, Christy, who? No, but for real, I really do think that that's something that has really been a game changer, and that they have now lifted this time limit that you have, and you can now have timeless accounts where there's no pressure to meet that goal by a certain time limit. And I think that's huge. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in this podcast, how this really does help you guys as the retail traders. I think it's kind of obvious, but in case you guys want to talk about it a little bit, get some insight about it, learn about which firms are doing this and allowing this. Just to be clear, not every single firm has done this. So do your homework when you
Most
are
of
researching firms, but
Yeah,
most of
most
them,
of them have done this. A lot of the
most of
reputable
them,
ones,
yeah.
FTMO, MFF, True FOREX funds. I believe my fund at FX has been doing it for a little while now, but like the top three, like MFF, FTMO, True FOREX funds,
Yeah.
all just converted over, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. The big ones you'll hear us talk about in the podcast, or like even on my channel that I even personally use, like they have done it and converted over. But again, not everyone has. So please check your rules. They all have the frequently asked questions on their website. So just make sure that that actually applies. Don't just be like, well, Jay and Christy said there's no time limit anymore. So, but
I
definitely
don't
check,
think
but
their
majority of them.
I don't think their contact support is gonna like allow that as an answer. Well, oh, Jane Christie said that. Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like,
Oh, it came from Jay and Christy, then yeah, we're gonna allow this one. Check that off.
good.
No, yeah, so please don't just take our saying this on here blindly and assume every firm is going to allow this, but majority of the big ones do. But let's get into a little bit, Jay, and talk about some of like the pros. There's really not many cons to it, but like mostly the pros, and how it is that like even us as retail traders are feeling about this, and kind of just talking about how this changes the game for retail traders, because it really does. And it's like beyond just even the fact that like, and I'll talk about it some too, but it's beyond the fact that you just don't have a time limit. There's kind of like
Mhm.
a power change that is happening by them
Yeah.
doing this. And we can talk about that a little bit more in it, but let's get started in it. Let's talk about like, I guess let's talk about the power. Let's segue it in.
Yeah,
What
no, like it
it's like giving the
definitely,
traders a power back.
no, just kind of building off of that, it definitely gives power back to the traders in the sense that, well, now people need to basically just unlearn everything that they've learned before. In the simple fact of not necessarily trading material wise, it's just the most important part of everybody not knowing subconsciously. They're always worried about, like, I am willing to go on a limb and say that majority of people's problems or not that their strategy doesn't work. It's the fact that there's like this looming clock that is just in the background of like, you lost a trade, that is negative progress to this clock that's ticking down at you. You win a trade, you're happy. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be able to make it in time. It's like this, the fear of like, I need more trades, even though you have a full month, but people usually like treat the month as in like a week. And they're like trying to say, like a month feels like a week for people, and so like they're saying like
That's
I need
true.
to make at least this percent and like 4% in this first week. It's like you had 4 weeks though, but I've been
Yeah.
there too. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't claim like not the first prop firm, but like that the ones after that, I definitely fell into that category of like I need the first trade to go well. That way I can get the ground running and finish as quick as possible. When it's like you didn't need to do that. And so a lot of the times fear and a lot of greed and FOMO come into play. And like you might not get an entry and you're like, well, I should be getting an entry. So maybe, well, this trade looks pretty good. Let me take this. You lose and then you get pissed off. You revenge trade. It's like people don't realize. I like to think it boils down to now you could take your time. Like truly, you could take your time, and people don't have to feel forced to scalp either. I think that's another big thing too. Like swing traders, like now's your time. You're
Yeah.
here's your time to shine. And plus, like you just have to make sure also because FTMO still has two different categories as well. I believe they have their normal 1 to 100 leverage, but I'm pretty sure you still can't trade news and you can't hold overnight and things like that. But they have like a swing account, I believe, which is like a 1 to 30 leverage that they allow you to do that. So just make sure that you go with prop firms that allow you to hold if you are looking to swing as well. If you've never as a swing trade, you've always like kind of thrown it off because it's like, well, I can't pass in 30 days. Like my strategy too slow for that. It's profitable, but it's too slow for that. But now you have that luxury. And so I think that's a really good benefit for sure.
Yeah, I think it definitely teaches patience for traders, which is good. And I feel like a big gripe of mine was that they did put the time limit on there. And then I think that you go in with the best of intentions. You hopefully did all your back testing and you found
Yeah.
your edge. And you come in with a system and you think, I'm gonna do this. Like on demo, you kill it and you're crushing it and I can do this. Yeah, maybe even the free trials, you're doing super good with it. And then you get into the live and the mental aspect that comes into a time crunch that you didn't have before when you were testing is now putting the pressure on you to be way more impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to take trades that you wouldn't take. You tend to force things that aren't there. You tend to take maybe smaller profits than what you really should be doing because you kind of get like in that weird funk of like, well, anything's better than nothing. And I really, really hate that. I hated that what it did to people, and
Yeah.
myself included. I was one of these people who would go through this too because I hated the time limit. So I think that it's really, really awesome to be able to like eliminate that like speed run mentality now that people have when it comes to these prop firms and being able to keep you more focused on what your actual edge and strategy was and not focus on this like this time limit that really means nothing in the grand scheme of things because once you pass the challenge, there was no time limit. So like I never understood why you had to put a month or whatever they would put on there, a month or 60 days on these phases because it just felt stupid. There's really nothing that you're seeing as far as weighing a trader's talent there. Because
Mm.
yeah, you can do it in a month, yeah, you can do it in 60 days, but that's not really telling you how great they trade long term because they might make huge profit, but maybe only take 3 trades a year. And they could be making your prop firm tons of money if you just allowed
Yeah.
them the ability to do it. And that's kind of been my gripe with it. I know obviously not everybody swing trades to that extent where it's like 3 trades a year, but I just think it's really nice to take that
Yeah. The
mental game
extreme.
out of there. Yeah, it's just really nice to be able to take that off of the
I
table. And I'm really happy that this is happening. I
I
think
think
there's oh,
people forget also as traders, the ultimate goal of a trader is to make money and be profitable, not to place trades. But
exactly.
people like they misconstrue the concept and they think that they have to place trades in order to be a trader because it makes them feel like they're working because they're
Mhm.
used to that in their job. And it's that
Yeah.
the goal of being a trader is to be profitable. And so with that being said, with no time limit, now it's like, well, if your perfect setup isn't here, you have the luxury of not having to take it. You don't have to place trades just because it makes you feel like you work that day. And just feeling like you place trades isn't always progress, especially if it's not exactly to the plan that you set out to trade to. And so
Yeah.
like the
More
final
trades. Oh, sorry.
no,
More trade.
I was just gonna say the
Yeah.
final thing that I wanted to cover in this instant is like it makes it real. You can cover this too. I think you were gonna go to this. It makes it more realistic to live trading now instead of just making it like challenge. I need to pass. I need to pass. It's like I need to
Yeah.
maintain.
Yeah. And like Jay said, to just feed off of that, is more trades doesn't equal more profits. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. it doesn't, more trades does, it could maybe, but it also very well could mean less profits. You could be negative by doing that. So like, if that's not part of your edge and part of your system, then it absolutely makes no sense for you to be placing extra trades. But the challenge is when there are time limits tend to really bring that it's just, it's something that you just, I don't know why, but like it just brings it out of you. And they knew that, these prop firms. And that is something that I think that there has been this power shift now, kind of
Mhm.
just a little bit talking about the power shift that kind of gives the traders back the power here. And that I think prop firms have become so huge that they've become so popular now in the last, I want to say probably 5 years, like really popular, very attainable to the average retail trader. It's become a much more popular option. And because of that, lots of prop firms have popped up, right? Everybody
Mhm.
probably, if you're like been in trading for
I
even
think my
6 months,
grandma
you've probably
started a
heard of
prop firm. I'm pretty sure.
exactly. But because of this, now there is, it literally goes back to trading with the supply and the demand idea of it all. And that power, I feel like, has been a little bit reversed now, where there used to only be a couple of prop firms that were legit that you could really pick from and that would accept retail traders with decent rules that seemed a little bit easier. But over the last 5 years or so, there's been so many more coming into the scene that they have to compete now. So I think it's actually been really cool to see that now the retail traders are kind of back in the power here, where it's like, you have so many options to pick from now at firms that the firms have had to become more retail trader friendly and having to make the I guess like the requirements. I don't want to say that they've lowered them because they still want you to meet a percentage. But by
Yeah.
taking away some of the things that like they know weren't really there to help a trader, they were there to help them to weed out traders and collect more of the fees up front, which we all know they make money off of. That's not a surprise, but they do pay out if you can prove that you're worth it. And I think that it's really nice that they've done this. And I think this is where you see that power shift again happening, where retail traders are now kind of back in control of saying, we have a lot of options, and these firms are going to have to kind of start proving why they're worth it for us to even pick. So I think that's been really cool. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to the new accounts and how I feel about the power like switch of it all. And I think it's really been awesome to see. And I hope that it continues for the retail traders. But there's also a few really big advantages just to even the change that they've made currently, and hopefully more will come. But I think there's just been a big switch when it comes to the advantages. And I think we should talk about that. And the biggest one to me is just the fact that you can like walk away now from your account. Like if you have, God forbid, something horrific happened in your personal life and you just like mentally aren't there to be trading, or even time wise, like physically, you can't be in front of a challenge account. Before, you would usually have to like pray that you could like contact them and that maybe you got a nice customer support person that would like put your account on pause, and there's like time restriction limits to it and all that. And sometimes you could do it, sometimes you couldn't do it, and now it's not like that. You don't have to worry about that and stress about that. If something happens and God forbid you have to, like, physically just not even be around, maybe you have other responsibilities somewhere else to be, or mentally, maybe you're just, like, not good. You thought you were, but something happened and you're not, and you need that time away, you now have that as an advantage to just pause yourself, collect yourself, take as long as you want, and then you can restart again, and I think that's awesome and a huge, huge plus in my book when it comes to challenges, because they can be hard enough on you mentally as is. But being able to stop, regroup yourself, maybe pause, go back to testing. Maybe you thought your system was working, but something's not. And now this gives you the time to really stop, go test properly, and restart again whenever you're ready. So I really like that. What about you, Jay? Because I feel like you're kind of big on this. I know you like
No,
partial
I love
lots
that.
sometimes. So I feel like that's,
I love
yeah.
yeah, what you have brought up. I love that idea of being able to just pause. Even the simple fact of like your week started out great and then maybe something outside of trading in life kind of came in and then you kind of just spiraled down a hill and like you think it's the strategy. Like you could take the next week off and like look back and back test objectively like your rules of the strategy that you're performing and see like, okay, was it me or was it the strategy? And then go from there. And then once you get your footing back, if maybe it was your strategy, maybe your strategy just had a bad week. Maybe you want to back test different pairs to see if other pairs struggled that week too. Maybe it was just an anomaly, like things happen like that. But I think what's cool now too is the simple fact that you can now have Like you now have the luxury to be able to buy a prop firm account now and risk like 0.1% or like zero point 0.1,
Yes.
0.25%, something extremely small just to get your feet wet in the sense like you don't have to keep spamming free trials now.
Like shake all the nerves off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Get it out of your system. I'll talk to you about it in a second when Jay finishes, but my dad is the like goat of this. So, but I'll explain in a minute. But yes, let Jay finish explaining to you what he means by like smaller risk to get the nerves out of the account.
Yeah, because some people it's like they could trade, I mean, completely fine in demo. They like literally tear up demo, but once you get to live, now it actually matters. And so it's like, damn, like that 1%, like that's a lot because now I have to make 9% instead of 8. Maybe like you just have like a first trade jitters, like just risk 0.1%. Look for your entire setup. I'm not saying just go into the market and just buy and sell and like 0.1 hope for the best. Like, no, that's not what we're looking to do. We're not gambling here, but it's like you follow all your rules. It's a normal setup, and you just you start risking 0.1% until you feel comfortable. And maybe you just start laddering up. Maybe you start risking 0.2%, maybe 0.25, then get to 0.4, 0.5, 0.75. Then once you get comfortable, maybe you don't even need to get up to 1%. Maybe you just keep killing it now that you're not having that like psychological barrier in the background being like, oh, this is a lot of money, this is a lot of percentage, like what am I going to do? So like that's a luxury now too, that you have the time now. You could literally take a whole
Yeah.
year to pass a challenge if you really wanted to, but
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you really could. And I think that that's actually really a great thing that he's saying. Like you can get your jitters out, you can practice. You might not even have to risk 1%. I know people in the community, even in the trading floor community, who are really big on using like 0.25, like 20.25% of 1% instead. And they do really well, but then they would struggle on prop firms because of the time limit. So now they're actually really able to use that because they're taking a lot of trades, and that's their system and that works for them. They tested it, but they're taking a lot of trades. They're usually 1 minute time frame traders, but they know they can't risk 1% because they potentially have to be able to take a certain amount of losses in their system, but they can't risk 1%. And also time limit wise, it just wouldn't work for them in the past, but now they can, and they can do the 0.25, and they have as long as they need to really get to what they need to do. I'm not recommending one way or another right now. I'm just saying that for people who are doing stuff like that, you absolutely have the ability to do that now, and you don't have to feel that time pressure or that crunch that you were feeling. My dad, I will say, is the probably most excited person I have met about this. Like,
Papakins.
yeah, Popkins is pretty excited. I wish I could have brought him on, but he does work a 9 to 5 type of job Monday through Friday, and we are recording this during a weekday. But or else I would have happily brought him on to talk about this because he is very excited because he works. So another advantage is because he does work in the East Coast. He lives on the East Coast with me on East Coast time. So he's working during the New York session, the session that he typically would like to be trading. Because he works during those hours and he has a job that he can't really like fully dedicate. I know some people do, and if you do, great. But some people truly can't trade during the hours of the sessions where they find it to be the most profitable for them or the best time to be trading because they have a job. And that really can slow you down. So he's always kind of been stuck to Tokyo session, even though he likes New York better. But he's been stuck to Tokyo session because he finishes work. And then Tokyo session, when he comes home, he's able to trade. But it's very slow. Tokyo session is notoriously slow. Not saying it can't work. I know some people who have made it work, but it is notoriously slow and frustrating for prop firm challenges when there were time limits on it. Now there's no time limit. So he is like a kid in a candy store. Like he is so excited. And he is in his 100K challenge that he's working on right now. And the other thing he is, like I said, the goat of, the king of, is we will disagree forever what 1% of an account is. I think
He
of
goes by the
1%.
overall drawdown.
Yes, I go by 1%. And I have talked about this before in other podcasts. I go by 1% of what my actual whole account size is. Whereas in his thinking, it is 1% of your actual drawdown. That's your true capital that you have to trade with. So in a case of a 100K account, he believes he only actually has 10K to be able to trade. So in his thinking, if he trades 1% of 10K. So for him, though, obviously, again, would make it very difficult in a month or 30 days to pass a challenge sometimes because you have to really be on it. So if you don't have availability to a fast moving market like him, and you couldn't be trading Tokyo's a little slow, and then you're trading what I feel is not 1%. Again, we'll disagree, and he watched the podcast, so I love you, Dad. But we disagree on that. It can be painstakingly hard to pass a challenge with those
Sure.
types of restrictions. However, his system works really good. He got a couple of jitters out with super little micro size lots on the first like couple of trades. He loved that. Got him in profit a little bit, build your confidence. And like there's just been so much good positivity that I've seen so far from even him using it, you know. So I know in the community people have been really liking it, but I feel like personally I've been able to see it like firsthand how good this has been for just watching somebody like that. So again, another advantage is if you're somebody who works a job like that and you've been maybe forced into like a slower market, or maybe you're only like a Sunday markup person. You do markups on Sundays and you want to place your trades for like a weekly type of situation. You have that ability now to not feel like you're not able to be in these trades or in these challenges and stuff like that and taking the trades. But as Shay said, please make sure that you are making sure if you are swing trading them, that you're still following the rules, because there are different types of accounts when it comes to this, and you want to make sure you're following the rules correctly. But the no limit thing has been awesome. So those are the advantages. I don't know. Do you have any other advantages, Jay? Like, I mean, there's a lot of advantages, but I really think the biggest things is like the giving back of power to the traders,
Yeah.
like
The
us
no, I mean,
taking that back. And then I think it's just like, I want to
you're
just say that a lot of,
psychologically freer.
yeah,
You're not free because you're still gonna feel the pressure of like this
you
matters,
have to make your goal.
which I'll
Yeah.
kind of get into soon too, like a solution that you could potentially do for that. But you're more free, I guess is a better way to put it, because you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about like the I need to rush, I need to scalp. I'm not a good scalper, but like I have to do this in order to make the time.
Right.
You don't have that anymore. Also, you have the luxury of potentially going up to a higher time frame as well. If you were looking, be like, well, this like maybe you're on the 1 minute and you're like, man, this I looked on the 5 and 15 and it works amazing, but I only get like 5 or 6 trades like
Right.
a week, or yeah, like 5 or 6 trades a week instead of like 50 on the 1 minute.
Yeah.
But now I'm just throwing random numbers out there. But it's the fact that you can kind of experiment now and maybe like try and take back like your power like on the higher
Yeah.
time frames. Maybe, I mean, if the 1 minute works for you, so be it. Like we're not trying to
Oh
hear
yeah.
like if it works for you specifically, you found your edge, you're able to consistently execute your trading plan and everything, perfect, stick to it. But I'm just saying for the people that are still kind of trying to find their way, you don't have to feel forced to scalp anymore. You could.
Even for those on the 1 minute though, like, and you guys will know, you'll know when I say this, what I mean when I say this, because I've been on the 1 minute doing challenges. You won't feel as forced to make a trade work that like maybe teeters on your criteria for entering, but you're like, I have 3 days left and I have 5% left to make or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know the trade is like, with your rules. Maybe it's not breaking it all the way, but you're like, it's not like I'm not loving it. Like, you know, there's setups that you're like, wow, get really excited about. Love. You now have the time to wait. Even if you're on the 1 minute, you have the time to really make every trade work and like wait for that trade to work out for you properly and not like hope that it's going to like finish and meet your criteria or something like that because you're on that time crunch. So yeah, I'm super, super excited about this. And I really hope that they continue. I hope that retail traders continue to realize how much power we actually have when it comes to stuff like this, and that we do have a voice to be heard, and that these people, the more prop firms that keep popping up, they're going to have to continue to be more and more competitive with one another to keep our attention and to keep us as retail traders. So I hope that they start to realize that and start making changes that are actually beneficial to us as retail traders. Understanding, and I'm completely respectful to how they run their businesses and wanting quality traders in their actual companies and trading for them because they are risking capital, and I get that. But at the same time, like some of the rules, like in my opinion, the time limit just really wasn't necessary, and that was more of a rule to like I feel like to force traders out regardless of
It
how
was
good
just a
you
rule
were.
to make them more money,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Quicker at least.
Quicker. It was a way to eliminate people quicker, and it didn't really justify whether you were or weren't a good trader. It just eliminated people and kind of forced you to do more reckless things like scalping or trying to speed run through a challenge or something like that. And I think that being lifted has really made me a lot happier. So
And talking more on that too,
yeah.
I do want to tell people like I mean, this is still kind of positive because it's like kind of hope and bringing people up. Is a simple fact that like individual prop firm challenge accounts don't define you as a trader. I've failed multiple
I failed.
prop firms.
I failed. Yeah.
I've I've
I get
I've
them taken
failed.
away. I get them. Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's like because some people just feel so defeated, like, oh, I've practiced all the last couple months, maybe a year or two, just to lose, and it's like, welcome to the family. Like you're, it's not like it's gonna happen. And what's more important is that you go back and you actually look through all the trades you've taken and make sure like you were supposed to take those trades. I think that's the most important thing is progression, even through like take losing as lessons instead of just as like beatings and like, well, like I'm not meant for this. I can't pass this. It was like I felt plenty of prop firms
Yeah.
before like I got my footing down.
Yeah, I agree. I think you shouldn't let it define you. Even if you pass a couple and then you fail one, it's fine. It happens. The other thing I would like to kind of talk about is like important, I think, to note about this is that not that my suggestion, but like if it was me doing this starting over, don't don't get super excited and be like, oh my God, there's no time limit. Let me go get the $1 million platform account.
Yeah,
I
I was
still
gonna
don't,
bring this up
yeah,
too, for
I
sure.
still don't suggest that. I feel like there's still something that's really beneficial to any day trader to kind of start low and work your way up. So I still suggest getting this smaller account just to know you can do it because you're still spending money. And yes, if you pass, great. You're going to get your money back. And then you make your money, get a little bit of a payout, use that money, reinvest it into another account, and then kind of like step yourself up to those
Yeah,
bigger accounts. I think that that's a little bit easier for you and you can build your confidence as you go into it. Granted, the argument is made a lot of times that if you can do it on a $10, or not $10 account, say you can do it on $1,000 account, you can do it on $1 million account because it's just making sure that your risk management is done properly. And I agree with
it's
that.
not the same.
You I agree with it to an extent, so thank you. It's not the same though, because mentally it's not the same. When you are talking about the profits that you're looking at, your brain is like, I don't even know if it can
You
handle
start
seeing
to
sometimes when
quantify
you're
things of
making,
like you're risking 1%, but then you're
yeah,
seeing on a $300,000 account, like it's getting close to my stop loss, $2,300. Damn, I don't even make that bi-weekly. Like some people might be like,
right.
I've never seen this. It's different.
It's different. And I agree with Jay. I think that starting lower, like maybe the 25K or something like that, still really good money. A lot of the time you're going to be making money that, you're really happy with too. And the numbers just like as you increase, they just mentally help you prepare a little bit more for those big boy accounts. And because a lot of times I feel like they're out there for a reason, those big boy accounts.
Yeah,
But let's be for real, very few people actually pass them and maintain those accounts. And there's a reason for it. It's because psychologically, they're a lot to handle on your emotions. So if
yeah,
you guys are really looking to do that, I do suggest kind of like starting like on the smaller side. I'm not saying this tiniest little one, but maybe starting a little more realistic on an account and then making sure the account is something that you have practiced with in demo. So make sure that amount of money is something you're used to seeing over and over and over again and
mhm.
test it. Don't test with like a $10,000 account, but then go buy a $50,000 account because those
It's gonna
numbers
look
to you
crazy
are going to feel weird. Yeah. So you want to do something that
because
you're
it'll look
doing
like your
repetitively.
progress, like your positive progress on that 10K account by one loss on the 50K account feels like you
Yeah.
blew things up.
You're going to blow your mind and you're going to be stressed out over it. So try to be a little bit more like consistent with it and repetitive with whatever account you're working on and playing with. Try to use that. And then when you're ready, you can start looking at like taking your profits and then you kind of compound it into the next account. Roll it over, buy a new account, do a new challenge, and then you can kind of build your capital in that way when it comes to the prop firms. That's just my suggestion because I know some people have asked this in the past about like, oh, like now that there's no time limit, should I go for the bigger account? And I still don't think that that's the best option. It doesn't change the fact that you still have to meet the percentage that they've set. They've just taken away the time limit, which is
Yeah,
amazing for the reasons we said. But it doesn't change the fact that there's still something there that you have to do, and there is still going to be some mindset setbacks and challenges when it comes to trading a challenge account. So
I think
yeah,
so.
that's my suggestion.
You explained that really well, but I kind of want to go more into detail because I was actually going to bring this up very soon too. Is that
Let's hear it, Jay. Go for it.
yeah?
Go ahead.
Let's hear it, Chris. So for me personally, from experience and also seeing a lot of other people, I've kind of come to the ways of thinking there's three hidden gates in prop firms. And so like the first hidden gate is kind of the first one that we get
This
introduced
feels
to.
philosophical. Okay, let me nestle
Yeah,
into this one. Go ahead.
yeah, nestle in, get comfortable. No, but the first hidden gate that we cross is the fact of not really defining the edge, but believing in the edge. That's the first thing we have to get comfortable with. Because yeah, we could backtest all the hell we want. We could find all the profits we want. But when it comes down to live trading, are you actually going to sit down and consistently and repeatedly execute that specific strategy day in and day out? That's the first hidden gate, is that psychological kind of barrier, I guess you can call it. Second gate, which I mean, it's basically demolished now that we don't have to really worry about that, is time. Time for me was the second gate in the sense that we just didn't really like in the back of your heads, like I have to rush this, I have to get through this. And now prop firms basically said no. So technically there's two gates now instead of three, which is nice for us.
Okay.
Third gate, well, now the second gate, I think it's kind of the final gate, is the fact that once you conquer like you believing in your edge, you still might have trouble trading still as well, even though you believe like I know this is probably going to win, this is to my edge, but I still struggle taking the trade. And what I believe a lot of times, what you just brought up, is your capital, is what it boils down to. And the simple fact of you literally infuse your life into that account in the sense that I worked extremely hard, I worked overtime, I did all this to save money to finally buy that 200K account or that 300K account for $1,200. This $1,200 will buy me this one attempt at this.
Yeah.
And I need to pass this and it'll change my life. And if you have that mentality, I never wish any bad luck on anybody, but you are putting yourself in a very emotional pinch because the past months or years that you literally worked for to be able to save that money to get that one big account, you're riding on the line like I need this to work now. And so you might believe in your edge and your strategy, but now you're like, this is my one shot. And like nothing's 100% in trading. Like if you see 100%, like we've always said, even in the previous podcast, if you have a 100% win rate, run the hell away. Run as far as you can.
Yeah,
but
somebody
it's the
says they have
fact that it's like
100% win rate.
if you saved up like that 1,200 or whatever it costs, 12 to 1,500, could be for 200K, some 200K accounts, doesn't matter. You could literally split that up in 50K accounts and basically have 4 attempts with the same amount of money. And now in the back of your head, it's like, okay, if this challenge doesn't work, I still have 3 that I could take under the belt. And you'd be surprised how much that helps.
Yeah, something like that is actually a good idea too, now that there's no limit, because you can have as many, you could have that. And I do actually like that suggestion because it's like putting all your eggs in one basket with one account and maxing it all out, because you're like, well, like Jay said, you saved up everything you have to put all, and you're putting all of your extra
Every
money
single
right
trade,
now.
it's like, oh, these past 4 or 5 months like weighs on this now.
Yeah,
Like,
have to that I have to make this work. I have to be profitable. The market does not give a crap about your have tos. It doesn't care that you worked however many extra hours for this money to be able to do. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. The market is the market. It has no idea that you have to make this work. And your pressure of that will just really eat away at you. And we have talked about this a lot too in other episodes about not having to do something. And yeah, I agree with that. And having that one attempt, and I know somebody will argue, oh, you could do 2 attempts if you're in profit, blah, blah, blah. Like that's really kind of gone now because there's no time limit. So you don't
yeah.
actually have 2 attempts anymore. Maybe some of the firms that haven't switched over, sure, but we're talking about the ones who actually have switched over to this no time limit.
Which is like the biggest reputable ones.
which are the big ones, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But that's just, there is really only one attempt now, and not to like scare you guys, because now I feel like we talk about all these positives, and now we're like, there's only one chance. But it's true, there is
One
only one
opportunity to seize
shot.
everything you ever need. Palm sweaty.
YouTube will get me for copyrights. Don't go too harsh. Right?
Mom
They're gonna be like,
spaghetti.
yes, as Eminem would say, you only get one chance, and we don't want to scare you guys with that, but you do. Where you could have one chance with one really large account, or you could take that money and maybe know in your head, hey, I'll have an opportunity to take up to 3 or 4 50Ks instead of one massive one or something like that. And I do kind of like that, or spreading it around with different firms, maybe even trying a couple of different firms. They all run relatively the same, but
Hmm.
maybe try out one firm if it doesn't work well with them, or maybe you didn't like something with their rules. You have the money now to go try another one instead of it being one firm, one account, and now you have to go work and save up another 5, 6 months to have the money to be able to do another challenge
And you're
again.
so jaded
That can be
too, and
hard.
you might not even want to do another challenge because you're like,
And it
well, I'll
messes
just
with you like mentally, you can get
yeah.
psyched out going into your second challenge now. So that's kind of just another tip from us when it comes to challenges, like, 'cause we do them a lot. And I feel like that's something that we wanted to talk to you guys about. The other thing I just wanted to talk about, I guess we can just kind of dabble with, is like giving you guys some ideas about firms. Again, all of their rules, like I don't want to get into specific firms here. This is not
Yeah.
affiliated
Just in
video in
case
any
people have
way.
kind of like shied away from firms because they weren't. If you never paid attention to firms just because you knew that like your system just didn't work for that month, like
Yeah.
maybe we can help
This
you out a
might
little
be
bit.
it might be an
Yeah.
opportunity now. We're gonna just like rattle some of the top ones off. We are in no way affiliated with these firms at all. I don't want to say I'm not affiliated because I do use some of these firms, but I'm not like promote. This isn't that kind of video. And if you Google them, or you not Google, but like if you YouTube some of these firms, you will find affiliated videos. Please be careful when you are watching affiliated videos and they're talking about firms. A lot of the times they're going to offer you
They're
a
gonna
discounted
sugarcoat,
link.
or they're gonna sugarcoat the firm just because they were sponsored
Yeah,
by it, which I mean is completely fair, but just note that
which
like
is
there
fine.
could be a potential bias for
There's
that.
definitely a
But
bias.
there's
It's
no
not
bias.
potential.
There's no
There's
bias
a
here for
bias.
us. No, there's no
There
bias
is
here for me and you.
there's potentially a bias. Not there is a bias in those videos, and if they're offering you a discounted coupon code, 100% they have an affiliate link, and it's absolutely sponsored in some way. There's a motivation for them to give you the content and information about that firm, because if you click on the link, if you click on their link and you buy a firm, they get commission made off of that. Be mindful of what you're doing with that stuff. It doesn't mean that they are good or bad firms. They could be great firms still, and they might be one of the ones we rattle off. But just be mindful if you are clicking on links that like of a video from somebody else, that
Yeah.
they likely are making money off of you joining that. So there is a bias there for them to make a firm potentially sound a little bit better. With that being said, we do absolutely like, I'm looking at the list right now. There's some of them I cannot attest to, but majority of them I will tell you now. I'll name mine and Jay can name the rest. FTMO, my FOREX funds, um, funded trader I did use once,
I've
and
used
that's
True
it. So
Forex
yeah, those are,
funds.
yeah.
I've used. I'm
Yeah,
using my funded FX right now. I haven't
I'm looking at them.
used two of them. I haven't used Smart Prop Trader and Blue Guardian,
Not.
but I've heard good things from them as well.
Yeah. So I've used FTMO, my Forex funds. I've used True Forex funds, and I have used E8, which is not on this list, but
I
just
don't know if
you know.
E8 transferred over. Not sure.
I don't know either because I'm not with them currently, but I
Yeah,
have
me
used them,
either.
and they will pay. I know they pay out, but I'm letting you guys know FTMO has paid me out, no problem. My Forex funds paid me out before. I mean, not before, many times, no problem. True Forex funds has paid me out before, but I didn't stick with them, but paid me
Yeah.
out, no problem. Um, the ones that Jay is saying are legitimate, they pay out as well. The ones that we can attest to, I think, is what did you say? Smart prop firm trader and Blue
Yeah,
Guardian.
I've heard good things about them, but I've
Yeah.
obviously never used them or got a payout from them. So
Personally, we have not actually done a challenge with them or been paid out with them, but we have heard good things, and
yeah.
in our community, they get like good ratings from people in the community. That is not to say that they're perfect. Again, not sponsored. It's just to say that we
Yeah, no,
legitimately have
sure.
used them. I can show that I've been paid from them. I have proof that they've paid me. Like, They're all legitimate. I will link all of these below for you guys in the description box so that way you guys know what we're talking about. But do your homework. All of them have the FAQ like areas.
Yeah,
Please go through their FAQ. They are not all the same. Don't just
that's what
go
I was
through
about to
one
get into.
FAQ.
That's what I was about to get into for
Yes.
sure.
Do not just assume, well, Jay and Christy said again that there was no limits, and then they said that all of these ones had no limits, and you read maybe the FAQ for FTMO, but then like decided to go with the cheaper account, maybe on, I don't know,
Some
True
random
Forex
one,
funds.
or
And
well,
then
yeah.
you, I don't know,
Well,
I'm just
True
going with
Forex
it, but
Funds has that, but like E8, for
yeah,
example, maybe E8 doesn't have that, and you heard us say E8, and then you go over there and
it's
like, well,
just a
I
firm. I'm just letting you know
no
they
clue.
legit pay. But yeah, so you have to read them. Also, people who are using things like risk calculators and stuff like that, that might be considered EAs when it comes to that.
Yeah, so
Um, make sure
they
that
allow EAs.
your firm and your account type allows EAs, because
True.
some firms will say in their rules that they allow EAs, but a specific account that you buy may not. Like some of the accelerated ones and stuff like that may not allow an EA. So, and if you guys don't know what an EA is, basically that's a like a bot of some sort that you would install that would help trading in some way.
Yeah,
Usually when it's a risk calculator situation, they don't usually care about the risk calculator, but they don't know whether it's a risk calculator or whether it's an actual bot that is algorithmically
yeah.
trading for you.
EA is
And
short for
they,
expert advisor as well, in case like you don't really know what EA
thank you.
is.
Yes. So yeah, and just so you guys have an idea. So yes, if you read the abbreviation EA or if you see the word expert advisor, just know that too. That's something you might want to check if you're somebody, especially if you're in the trading floor community and you're using our risk calculator. Ours is an EA. It has to be downloaded as one. So you want to make sure that it does allow that before you go into a firm, because that's another big thing I see happen is that you guys will do all of the right things and then you get to your firm, you did your research, but that's like the one thing you miss. And then you sign up for the accounts and then
Stuck.
you can't use the risk calculators. And now you're kind of in this like weird place. Like I know there's
Yeah.
other risk calculators and there are, but it's like it kind of throws off your like vibe that you've been practicing with. So that's something else you want to make sure. Just make sure you know all of the rules that apply to those accounts. So that way there's no like whoa-ohs when you get time to go live that could throw you off a little bit compared to what you were practicing with.
I also want to make sure that people realize that prop firms aren't like stocks, in the sense that you're not trying to find like the new upcoming prop firm because you think you're going to get
No.
crazy benefits from it, or like you're going to get appreciative like value. All prop firms are the same. You pay a fee, you get a challenge. Well, I mean, there's different one
For the
and two
most
step
part.
challenge, but for the most part, you'll pay a fee, you'll do 2 challenges, then you'll get reimbursed for your challenges, then you get the account. Some prop firms, like my FOREX funds and certain others, are cheaper. FTMO has obviously been here the longest, so they're the most expensive, but they're the most reputable. But like a lot more prop firms now, like my FOREX funds, even True FOREX funds, and my fund at FX and the latter, they all like are pretty reputable now. They've been paying out forever, and so like they're kind of on par, if not slightly below FTMO, but still like they're just as good, if not better, if you like prioritize like cheaper accounts and like easier passing conditions, and maybe even better profits. But some of them have that too. So a lot of them have like 4 to 5 daily drawdown, 4 to 5% of your account daily drawdown. A lot of them have 8 to 10% profit splits on phase one, usually 4 to 5% profit splits on phase two. Some of them, I think on average now, which is crazy to like say, on average, it's 80-20 profit splits now, when like 70-30 for FTMO used to be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
50-50 was the norm back then. And so like 80, everybody's like, oh, if it's not 80-20, like I'm not messing with it. It's like, that's more than zero of what you
Good.
have
Yeah.
now. Like, what are you talking about? But what I did want to touch on, I've heard from Smart Prop Trader and also Blue Guardian, which is interesting. I haven't tested this myself, so take this for what you will. But they have a daily drawdown protection bot that you could put from the company itself. Like you can enable it in the dashboard, and it'll actually turn off all your trades before you hit your daily drawdown. So they actually help you in that sense, which I think is pretty sick. Like I feel like that's going to
Yeah.
be a new like I feel like that's going to slowly like kind of populate into the other prop firms as well.
I hope
Um,
it does. This is another one of those things that I feel like I understand from the prop firm's point of view. They want responsible traders that are able to know, like, risk manage properly. I get it. But at the same time, like, mistakes happen sometimes. Crazy news can
what's the
happen. And
equity?
they
Like,
do that. Exactly. Then there's
yeah.
like equity that can, and like, without getting into that's a whole nother topic in itself. But like, there's just sometimes you just need a little, like, it doesn't mean you're a bad trader, like, just mistakes sometimes, like, can happen, and it's smart for them to do it, because if they're copy trading you for real, like, if you're one of those traders that are copy trading, they should have that enabled on there, because they should want to make sure that you don't go and blow an account, because they're going to lose money then. So having something like that in these firms, I
It
really
just
hope that
goes to
that's,
show
like,
like they're
something.
for you. They're for you.
Yeah,
But in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter what prop firm you pick.
right.
Just
It really doesn't.
make sure the rules are fine, but like you're gonna
Make
get
sure they are, like,
reimbursed.
legitimate too, like, don't go find
Yeah.
some crazy one that you just found on, like,
From the
Yahoo or Google or
reputable
something, like,
ones that we've stated.
yeah. From
Let
the ones
me
that we, like, link
let
below
me
that we know
preface
work.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the ones that we know that work, it does not matter. You're not like, oh, the value in this is gonna go up, so like I'm gonna be able to make more money. It doesn't work like that. You
no.
pay for the challenge, you pass it, they reimburse you, they give you the count. Happy days, happy days. So
Yeah. Yeah. My other thing is that I don't want to say that you shouldn't shop around. You should shop around for sure. But also, the last thing on that is don't go with the cheapest one just because you're like, well, I can get the higher amount of money for it. That doesn't always make it the best firm for you. All of them are, they're very similar to an extent, but they do have slightly different things about them. And this is where, like, maybe you might be able to, so hypothetically, I'm just kind of putting out there, but maybe you might be able to get a more expensive capital, like a cheaper account with more capital. So maybe you can get a 100K account for $600 instead of like $800. I'm just making up numbers, right? So you're like, well, I'm going to go with the cheapest account because I can get the most capital for a lower amount of money. But the catch here is maybe they aren't the best when it comes to their profit split. And you're just like thinking short term, but not really thinking long term. Sure, maybe you save $200 between the two prop firms for the sign up fee. But again, if you pass, who really cares because you're reimbursed? I'm not saying who cares about the money, because depending on how much money you have to start out with an account is dependent on you. So you do what you can do personally. But if like you're looking at it because you're like, well, I can get more capital for a cheaper price, that's kind of a bad mentality. If you means you're going to maybe get a 70-30 split, profit split, you should think more long term. If you can pay the maybe $200 more for the same amount of capital, but then get maybe a 80-20 split, you're making 10% more on that account every payout indefinitely. So you're going to
yeah.
make back that $200 difference in like no time if you're doing well in the account. And like you're also going to be refunded the account when you actually pass it. For most of these firms, again, check the rules, but most of them will refund you your account fee. So like to me, that's where you need to really think about, like, do you care about higher capital up front? Not saying it's right or wrong, but think about it. Do you care about a better split long term? I personally want a higher split long term because I know that I can do well in these accounts, and I would rather have the money long term than short term worry about what I'm spending the money on. And that's just kind of like something you guys got to think about, the rules and stuff like that. Certain accounts, whether you can trade news and hold through news, how long before news you can enter a trade or exit a trade, things like that. The drawdown is slightly different for all of them. And those are just the kind of things you're going to have to consider, whether you can hold through a weekend or not, whether you can trade crypto or not. Like these are the things that people have to kind of go through. So definitely check the frequently asked questions on all of their sites, whichever one you're going to decide on. But do your research. Don't go with one just because we said a name and be like, oh, that one.
So we're gonna wrap this podcast up, but before we do, I believe you have a special announcement that we're gonna be doing at TTF in September, kind of
Yeah.
enveloping, and just containing what we covered in this podcast of prop firms.
Yes. So we are actually going to be doing something kind of fun in TTF in the trading floor community in September. So we have been wanting to try and figure out how to work with challenges and stuff like that. Prop firms, you guys ask this a lot, like if we will stream prop firm challenges. And it's always kind of been one of those things that we're like kind of iffy with because we really don't want people to be like copy trading or think that we're selling signals because we definitely don't do that in the trading floor. We really are about making you responsible for yourself, learning how to do it, educating you to do it. It's the whole like give a man a fish they eat once, you teach a man to fish and they can eat forever. So we want to teach you to fish here and then you go on your way and fish and live off of your fishing, aka trading. Right. So we want you to do that. So we've been kind of like hesitant about how much of the like live trading stuff that we show you guys. However, we did want to kind of take advantage of the prop firms and showing you guys what this is like and a realistic approach to the prop firms. And this has been something that we've been kind of toying with, and we finally realized, like with the time limits being lifted, that we feel a little bit more comfortable now to like kind of really talk more openly and show more openly the realistic side of a prop firm because I think it's actually a lot more attainable now for more people because these time limits have been lifted. And we want to start kind of showing you guys that. So in honor of them doing this, thank you, prop firms. We will have some of our streamers doing it. I believe there are 5 right now that are committed to doing it. And during the month of September, and however long, because that's the idea, it very well may bleed over into October, November, hopefully not into 2024, but
If it
however
does,
long
so
it
be
takes
it.
them. Yeah, however long it takes them. But they will be live streaming that throughout a couple of their lives throughout the week and then keeping you up to date on what they're doing on those accounts. So we really wanted to kind of make this like a, everyone's back from vacation season like that or holiday season, wherever you're at in the world, whatever you call it. Kind of getting out of the summer months, getting into the fall months in September, that back to school mentality of back to work, back to trading type of mentality and getting back into the challenges. And we're going to have our streamers showing you guys what they're doing through the lives. So sometimes they'll be live trading, they'll be doing the live analysis on there. They'll be showing you guys updates of the account depending on what days they're streaming. You may not see it every single day from every single streamer just because that's kind of crazy with 5 people
Yeah.
for us to have to manage. But you definitely will be getting probably at least 2 updates a week. And then they'll come on during the times when they would normally be trading and kind of walk through their analysis for the day. If there happens to be a live trade, they'll take it on their lives with you guys. And we really wanted to use this as an opportunity for those of you in the community who are looking to kind of get into that back to work mentality to kind of use it as inspiration and like be trading along with other people who are in challenges because it really is beneficial to know that there's like other people in a challenge at the same time as you. It can help. It can hurt sometimes, so please make sure that you're not taking it too crazy. These are live streamers who are all been in live accounts before, have past challenges, so they are good at it. So don't feel like you have to compare yourselves or stay at the same pace as them. The idea is just to be able to have other people to like talk to about what is feeling like in real time going through these challenges at the same time as maybe you might be. So if you're looking to get into a challenge in September, I highly recommend you guys kind of joining along in the trading floors live challenge month. Well, not like challenge month, prop from challenge month that we're having in September, and kind of just being able to find that maybe like community sense of other people doing challenges during that month, looking for that motivation, the mindset that you might really need that help with. That's huge. And then we're also going to be doing a couple of little lives and some extra little things throughout the month, kind of popping in some tips and tricks and suggestions and just kind of leaving it open in the community to be more focused on prop firm challenges and what it's like to go through them, really go through them, not YouTube like speed runs that people do, not
Yeah.
take one trade. Like it only took one trade for me to pass the prop firm. It's absolutely possible that that can happen. But the reality of it, it's not how most traders are actually passing and sustaining their accounts. So we wanted to make it more of a realistic approach and show you guys what that looks like throughout the month of September. So we do have a few different people doing it. And the cool thing about the people who are doing it is that they kind of all have different styles
Yeah.
of trading. They're not all the same exact style of trading. So it's not like all just smart money concept people or all just price action or something like that. Like there's kind of a variety of them trading it. So you kind of get to watch like how there's not
Different time frames, different
yeah, different time
approaches.
frames, different approaches, and I love that because it shows there's not one dominant style that's always right. There are different ways that work for everybody, and it's an individual, and it depends on you as an individual too. Like what are you what's resonating with you, what's clicking for you to work, what system works for you. And I think that's really neat to see too. So we'll get to watch that throughout the month of September and however long it takes them to get through their challenges to see like how they're progressing and what they're doing. So yeah, that is what we're doing in the community. And I'm pretty excited. We've never done this. So this is kind of fun for us to
Yeah.
have something new and try out and see how it goes. So if you guys are looking to get into a prop firm, we're kind of not really sure where you're at in this, how to even move forward. Maybe you're looking for that extra help or some motivation. Definitely check out the trading floor during the month of September and see if it's like a good fit for you. You'll be in good company. You'll be with other people who are attempting challenges that month and trying to see how they go. The last bit I will say again, we're not affiliated with prop firms, nor do we want to be. So we're going to leave it up to those specific traders, those people who are trading on their live streams to decide which account they want to go with. So you might
Mhm.
see a variety of different accounts. That's up to them to decide which firm they want to go with. That's their choice. So it's not like we're just saying only one firm you like we're going with. So again, please do your own homework about it. But so don't feel like if you're with one firm and somebody else is using another, you can't still like join in the trading floor and kind of participate throughout the month and see how it's going. I will also be doing a little bit of like a membership type of style, not a competition, but I am a sucker for stuff like this. But yeah, we're going to probably do a little sign up sheet for those of you who are serious and committed about doing your challenge and want to actually stay committed. Some people do better, like especially strategy wars and stuff. We
Yeah.
find that people who are like committed to something tend to stay more focused to it and stay better at it. So for those people, we are going to do like a sign up sheet for it in September saying that you're just kind of pledging and committing to doing your challenge and that you're going to be participating in it. And if you pass throughout the time, phase one, phase two, whatever, not just time limit, but whenever you start it from the start of it to whenever the account either passes or fails, you would just let us know. And if you pass it, there will be some prizes in the community just because it's, something that we're looking to do. And I feel like holding people some people like that accountability. So holding people a little
Yeah.
bit more accountable sometimes helps them as well. So yeah, we'll have like a little bit of a group area and we'll be opening a little bit of a chat room area for those people who are in that group that decide to sign up. And that way you guys can talk amongst each other in a little bit of a smaller group setting. So if you're having certain struggles or something like that, you can have the support of people who are going through it and not just the whole community. So kind of giving you guys a little bit of perks there and a little bit of benefits for the people who are looking to have that kind of like smaller group mentality and knowing that someone else is going through it with you.
Pretty
That is a lot.
exciting.
Yeah, so that's exciting and we'll see how it goes. And if you guys love it, you'll have to let us know. But if you are interested in knowing more about it, joining or whatever, you can check us out in the trading floor community. It's trd.com and the link is below for the trading floor community in the description box. But yes, that is where you will be able to find all of that stuff in September and I guess for however long it takes now, which is crazy because I keep thinking September,
It
but
could
I'm
be
like, wait, there's
2025,
no.
Chris.
Yeah.
You never
Oh
know.
Lord. Oh
I'm gonna risk
Lord. Well,
0.01%. It'll be 2025.
yeah, you know what though? It'd take a long time to lose the account too. So
That's
that's fair.
facts.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching this. We hope to see you guys in the community for the challenge month, but please only come if you are ready and prepared. Do your homework. If you're not prepared, don't worry. We'll probably do it again in another couple of months and see how it goes. But make sure that you are not jumping into a challenge unprepared. Look up all of your stuff. Look up the different ones we recommended. Again, you can find the links for them all below in the description box. And best of luck to those of you who are entering into challenges. If you are looking into them, please do your research. Please only join them once you are prepared to really join them. Make sure you really tested your edge and your strategy. Don't just jump into them because there's no limit now. But the good news is if you do jump into them and you get stuck, you now have no limit. So you can pause yourself, stop yourself, go figure yourself out and come
Stop.
back. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us on our first episode back with season 3. We will see you in the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all of that jazz that Jay usually says. Yes, season. It's
Oh my
season 3.
God,
Season 3.
this is a new Chris.
New season, new me. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, you
That
guys.
outro was clean. Gotta love it.
Yes, all right. All right, you guys. For real, we're really leaving now. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Peace.